Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the top 10 comic books of the week. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is my top 10 comic books for the week. Not a spec list, but the 10 comic books that I enjoyed the most out of this week. But before we get into that, gotta give a big shout out to HC. HC, my homie, thank you so much for supporting us so long at patreon.com/PCP. We really do appreciate it. And from me, the excitable PCP crew, and the entire PCP Army, station. Anyway, let's get into the top 10. At number 10, Punchline, number 1, from DC Comics. So Punchline has definitely become one of the standout characters of 2020, almost instantaneously becoming a fan favorite near overnight. This is a one-shot special comic book picking up after the Joker War. It's written by James Tynion IV with Sam Johns. It's got Mirka Andolfo on the artwork. I thought it was pretty decent. It does a great job of revealing bits about Punchline's origins, a little bit about her personality, why she chooses to do what she does, and what possible plans she may have for the future. If you're reading along with James Tynion's Batman run, this is pretty much almost a near must-read because it is definitely setting up some stuff that Tynion has planned for 2021. Overall, I did enjoy this. I thought it was great, and it's got the return of some of my favorite Bat characters of recent years, and I'm talking about Harper and her brother, and I really like to see it. Great characterization, decent artwork, and a solid read. At number 9, Dark Knight's Death Metal Infinite Hour Extreme from DC Comics. Infinite Hour Extreme is definitely a must-read for Lobo fans, and if you're following along with Death Metal, I would highly encourage you to check this out. So we have already seen in the pages of Death Metal that Lex Luthor has sent Lobo on a special mission to find an element called Death Metal. This is that story. It's Lobo, it's rambunctious, it's wild, it's ridiculous, it's over the top, it's loud, it's boisterous, it's absurd. It's exactly what a Lobo Death Metal one-shot tie-in should be. I really did like it. It has some great setup too that's definitely going to result into the end game of Death Metal. The book though does have 3 different art teams and 3 different writing teams working on 3 different chapters within one overall story. It starts off super strong, introducing a new character, the Batman Who Frags. Seriously, one of the best evil alternate dark multiverse Batmans there has ever been. And then each subsequent chapter kind of gets a little bit less exciting and enthusiastically done or something, but it peters out as it goes. But overall, I really like it. I think it's a super fun, solid comic book that's right in the vein of Death Metal and Lobo. Perfect for Lobo fans. At number 8, We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 3, from Boom Studios. So I really like the story, concept, and the structure of We Only Find Them When They're Dead. I think Al Ewing has done a great job of crafting a really interesting and compelling story, and does a great job of handling the narrative, pushing the story forward issue to issue. It's a story about these godlike celestial beings we find in space, but we only find them when they're dead, and so of course we mine them for things like food and energy and other resources like that. But there's a mystery there. Why do we only find them when they're dead? And what happens when one captain decides to go a little bit further than maybe he should into finding out and solving that mystery? I'm really liking this story, really like this concept. But the artwork, I really like Simone DeMio's artwork. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But in this one, the coloring, it just seems to kind of feels like it's muddying up the line work. There's something going on. Now, I saw some people commenting on the weekly comic book review saying that that's definitely the style and what DeMio's going for. Maybe wanting it to feel a little bit murky and loss of depth because they're in space on this like chaotic mission. And that's cool and that's interesting. However, I find it incredibly distracting. Individually, I think the color choices are great. They're nice, they're bold, they're striking. And I think the line work is super solid. But when they work together, it just kind of is a mix match for me. And it's throwing this book further and further down from the top 10. It had a great start, and I'm still loving the book. But it's just that art. It's just something about the clashing colors with the line work. It's just not working for me. That being said, though, this issue does a great job of moving that story forward, of giving us little bits of information about the characters just through their actions, but there's a book that even does it better that we'll be getting into. But We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 3, pretty decent though a bit murky in the art department. At number 7, Strange Academy, number 5, from Marvel Comics. We were talking about Punchline being a standout character in 2020. What about the entire cast of Strange Academy? This book has been really fun, really exciting, and compelling, with very relatable characters, new young characters set so firmly into corners of the Marvel Universe, and it works, and these characters are interesting, like Doyle Dormammu, probably one of my favorite new characters of the year. You learn a little bit more about what the gist of this series is going to be, how these kids are going to interact, and it sets up a finale for the first arc, which I'm assuming will end and wrap up in issue 6 and then go forward from that. Sets up a really fun and exciting finale. I'm loving Strange Academy based on the strength of the characters alone, but the writing is pretty solid and the artwork is fantastic. Some of Humberto Ramos's best artwork in recent years, in recent memory for me, and I'm really excited. 5 issues in, he's been the sole artist. If this trend continues, this is definitely going to be one of Marvel's best books going forward. At number 6, Getting It Together, number 2, from Image Comics. Getting It Together is a kind of slice of life, romantic dramedy type thing about some 20-year-olds. It's written by Sina Grace and Omar Spahi with artwork by Jenny D. Fine. I'm really liking this one. I think the dialogue and the characters are pretty much near impeccable. I've made this mention before that it almost feels to me it feels incredibly realistic and grounded in reality, because this reminds me of me and my friends in our 20s and the things we were going through, trying to figure out who we were, what we wanted to do, our relationships, whether we're the physical or emotional or somewhere in that weirdness between friendships, all this kind of stuff. The book strikes a really strong chord with me as being very grounded, very realistic, and a very realistic take on 20-year-olds dealing with life and identity and struggle and relationships. And I'm having a lot of fun. It's got humor, it's got drama, it's got some interesting tidbits. The artwork's pretty solid. It's definitely got an indie feel, but if that's your slice of life, if you're into that kind of thing, I definitely recommend this one. I'm loving it so far. At number 5, 7 Secrets, number 4, from Boom Studios. So this is the book I was talking about, revealing bits about the characters solely through actions. That's something that Tom Taylor and artist Danielle Di Niculio do so well in 7 Secrets. So it's about this organization. They guard these 7 secrets. Everybody's always after them. Each secret has a holder and a protector, and now things are really ramping up. The action in this issue is insane. It is so well crafted as far as just being a very kinetic, highly charged, and dynamic comic book. I love the line work. And the story's great too. Like I said, it's got very direct action, but it is very subtle at certain times. Some of the actions of the characters in some of those more exciting, adventurous, and action-packed scenes reveal bits about the character. And it's done in a very impactful, yet subtle, and still yet direct and right there kind of way. 7 Secrets is really great. Tom Taylor's doing a great job. The entire team's doing a great job. I'm loving it. Boom's winning the week. I mean, they're just awesome. They're almost winning the year. They're one of the best ones out there, and 7 Secrets is one of the reasons why. At number 4, Power Rangers, number 1, from Boom Studios. Power Rangers number 1 is the second new launched Power Rangers book from Boom Studios. Just last week we had Mighty Morphin, focusing on the Earth-based, more accessible Mighty Morphin team that most fans know and love. And this one, Power Rangers, is going to be focusing on the Omega Rangers in space on a mission. But it is all tied in together with what's going on in Mighty Morphin. So they kind of alternate, but they still kind of are doing the same thing in a way from different perspectives. This was a very exciting issue of Power Rangers. I loved it. First of all, we got a new artist debuting for Power Rangers, Francisco Morderino, and holy cow, I like this. This makes me think of DeMio and Di Niculio when we first saw their work on Power Rangers. It's exciting. It's got a lot of energy to it. It crackles with that energy, and I love it. It's got a very cool, compelling story. It is very much grounded in what has happened in the Power Rangers books before. So if you're trying to just find a clean slate to jump into, you're going to be a little bit lost, but they fill you in really well. But there are some actions that are taken by some of the characters in this issue that will leave Power Ranger fans going, what? I am excited to see where this book is going. I think this is a great approach to Power Rangers. They've done Power Rangers in space type stuff before, but never with these characters. This is the Omega Rangers, this is Jason, this is Zach, this is Trini, and I love that they're building out that lore, and that's what Ryan Parrott, the writer, has been doing so well, even more so than Kyle Higgins. Seriously, everybody loves the Kyle Higgins Shattered Grid, Lord Draken stuff, but I think Ryan Parrott has been doing an even better job of making exciting Power Rangers superhero comic books that are highly kinetic, at the same time though, grounded in real emotion, and actually improving on the initial concept of Power Rangers. Power Rangers #1, loved it. At number 3, Scarant Hood, #1 from IDW. So Scarant Hood is like an independent book. It's by Nick Roach and Chris O'Halloran. I really like this one. I dubbed this the sleeper hit of the week on the weekly comic book review. It's about a dad. Is he a single dad? I don't know. They're very ambiguous about what's going on with the mom. It's like people expect the mother to be there, but she's not, and the dad's like holding information, but he's trying to raise his young daughter. And he's dealing with all the anxieties of being a young parent on their own, trying to raise a kid. Then you throw in some kind of really actually creepy horror stuff. It doesn't come across as an incredibly moody and atmospheric book, but it really does a great job with its dialogue, with its characters, and with relating the horror in the book to the horror of raising a child when you feel like maybe you just don't quite got what it takes to do so. I absolutely love this book. It blew me away. It will look a little bit verbose. The art may look a little too simple, a little too comic strippy for you, but for me, it worked. It felt like some of those great indie books that I used to love reading back in the 90s and early 2000s in particular. I thought this had a great handle on the characters, on the dialogue, on the situation, a great use of pacing. I thought this was a fantastic book and definitely something that shocked and surprised me because this book was nowhere on my radar. Well done. I loved it. At number 2, True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, National Anthem, #2 from Dark Horse Comics. So I'll admit, I was a bit confused at National Anthem #1, but then again, I knew it was kind of a prequel to True Lies. I knew the book would be a little bit challenging, maybe a little hard to easily digest. That's Gerard Way's style. Wacky, zany, in-your-face, wonky, all over the place. I loved issue #2. Now, I actually have gone back and I've read issue #1 a few more times and really ironed out any of the problems I had with really kind of understanding what's going on. If you read the original True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, this is set earlier than that, kind of telling the story of the first Killjoys, and it's a whole different world, and there's still a lot to be built out, but the book has got a great sensibility to it of just punk rock awesomeness. I love it. Gerard Way, Sean Simon, the writers, doing a great job there. But let me tell you something. Even though, like, for instance, there's dialogue and narration that's a bit disjointed, but it fits that flow and tone, especially with the art team. Leonardo Romero, Jordi Belair, holy cow, pushing themselves, doing things I haven't quite seen either of them do, making their work a bit more innovative in their already incredibly innovative artists. I love the art in here. It's got a grit, it's got a rawness to it, it's got a punk rock attitude, and that's something that really carries forth in the book through the script, into the artwork, and just through the entire visceral experience that you have absorbing and consuming this much too loud comic book. I loved it so much. I'm digging it, and I'm glad that it's finally here. And at #1, The Red Mother, #10 from Boom Studios. The Red Mother is a masterclass in comic book execution. Everything, the writing, the line work, the coloring, the pacing, the layout, the design, the composition, the title pages, for Christ's sake, the opening page of each issue kind of going off on the same tangent, kind of almost like a song, reminding you of a familiar theme. Holy cow, this book is great. It is a book that is driven by events, it's driven by character, and it's driven by concept. And I am loving it. It's incredibly chilling, creepy, and atmospheric, but it doesn't overdo it. Sometimes horror comic books, even horror comic books that I love, all it is rich, thick, moody atmosphere. That's not what you get in Red Mother, but when that atmosphere is there, it's for maximum impact and incredibly effective. Every choice that's made, there's not a word, line of artwork, or color out of place in this book. It is meticulously crafted to bring about a certain experience, and it is one of the best flowing comic books out there. It's got some of the best artwork. Jeremy Hahn, Danny Luckert, I am loving this story. A little bit of a slow burn, but now it just keeps ramping up. That pressure's been building issue to issue, and now it's about to just erupt and boil over, and I am so excited. The Red Mother is a great horror comic book that is a master class of how to create a pitch perfect paced comic book that does exactly what it's trying to do and wastes nothing. Nothing at all. Everything is 100% intended and 100% necessary. And I love it. And to me, that makes it the best book of the week. So what do you think the best book of the week is? What are your favorite books lately? What's your top 3, top 10, top 20? I don't care. What comic books are you reading? What are you loving? Let's share. Keep the conversation going in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. Please do join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.